Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. And I do have a smile on my face because this is a bit of breaking news that's come up, and I think it is wonderful. It will be a very humiliating day for Nicola Sturgeon. Hamza Yousaf is being urged to suspend her party membership in the light of the video that surfaced. I did a report on that earlier today, in which I showed that video of her basically lying, saying that the accounts were fine, saying that nobody needs to look at them, move along, nothing to see here. All the while, she obviously knew how bad they were, which is why she wanted no one to raise questions, no one to examine them. Well, this video's come up. It seemed as incredibly damaging to the party, and it could be something she needs to be suspended for. But I personally would think something like that, suspension, isn't good enough. She needs to have her membership cancelled. She needs to be thrown out of the party and told ne'er to dust their doorstep again. So it's one of those. They did it. Maybe she'll go off and start a new party. It's not unknown for former leaders who are sort of cruelly thrown from office to go and start new parties. The difference, of course, being that Alex Salmond was innocent, whereas Nicola Sturgeon, in my opinion, should I be hazard a guess, is in no way innocent. Sorry I had to put it that way. Got to cover me arse, there's where she is. So should she be thrown out of the party, or is it a suspension enough? Do let me know what you think in the comments. But we'll have a look at this article and see what's going on and see who's saying what. But it is absolutely fine that if she was thrown out, and I do think it would just be, just a great humiliation for her after what she's done to the people of Scotland. People of Scotland are finally getting a little bit of karma, a little bit of something paid back here. So anyway, here goes. So SNP urged to suspend Nicola Sturgeon's party membership after devastating video. Like I say, that was the one that I released to you this morning if you watched it. The SNP has been urged to suspend her membership amid the ongoing fallout from the scandal engulfing the party, the scandal that is undoubtedly started by her. Opposition politicians called for action against the former First Minister after video footage emerged of her insisting the SNP's financial position has never been stronger, just a few months before police launched a formal investigation into the party's funding and finances. Speaking at a meeting of the National Executive Committee, the NEC, the SNP's ruling body, in 2021, Ms Sturgeon urged members to be very careful about suggestions that there were problems with the party's finances because we depend on donors to donate. So it was a confidence trick. You're trying to build up the confidence that the party isn't poor, isn't impoverished, isn't in a parlous state, and isn't using, shall we say, any kind of subterfuge to inflate its reliability and honesty. And then they put their money in and then they find out the absolute truth, that they're all a bunch of crooks. Douglas Chapman resigned as the SNP's National Treasurer in May that year, claiming he had not been given the support or the financial information to carry out his duties. The following month, Peter Murrell, the party's chief executive and Miss Sturgeon's husband, loaned it £107,620 to assist with cash flow after the Holyrood election. Yes, where did that money come from? Why is the man like that allowed to give that kind of money without making it clear where it came from? What it was for, what the payback rates were, anything like that. It smacks of a cover-up. It smacks of someone trying to filter money back to try and hide a previous nefarious, activity. I'm not saying he did that. I'm just saying it smacks of that. It sounds like that. Police launched a formal probe in July 21 amid complaints over the whereabouts of the $600,000 donated to the party, which we know we've covered. Scottish Conservative Chairman Craig Hoy said, Nicola Sturgeon has huge questions to answer over this devastating video, which reveals everything that was wrong with the SNP under the control of her and Peter Murrell. For her to claim the party's finances were in rude health, a matter of weeks before a police investigation was launched into the missing $600,000, and her chief executive husband lending his own employers a six-figure sum to help with cash flow issues, is frankly astonishing. And he is right. He said her trademark addiction to secrecy and to image over candour can be seen in her crude efforts to suppress any discussion from the NEC members about the party's finances, because it might put off donors. It would have undoubtedly put off donors. And I can guarantee now there'll be people who were, let's say, previously donors to the SNP who will no longer put in a brass farthing to this party because they want to distance themselves from any claims of being involved in any kind of corruption or any kind of sort of alignment with criminality. Companies have image to maintain. They don't want that image tarnished by the likes of the SNP. Anyway, Craig Hoy continued. He said it's no wonder continuity candidate Humza Yousaf is now desperately trying to distance himself from the Sturgeon Murrell era. That man cannot do that. He is so intrinsically linked to them, to both them personally and to the regime that they ran. He cannot distance himself. He is linked at a biological level. He is joined at the hip with them. He said the shocking lack of transparency among the toxic clique at the top of the SNP is what has got the party into its current mess. If Humza Yousaf wants to show he's determined to tackle the crisis within the SNP, he should suspend the party membership of Nicola Sturgeon and Peter Murrell. And yet he hasn't done that. And we know why. I've covered this before. The reason Murrell has not had his membership cancelled or at least suspended while the investigation goes on is simple. He is owed so much by the party that if they did anything he didn't like, he can simply put in a creditor's request. He could bankrupt them overnight by having a creditor's liquidation. Simple as that. He could bring the party down, and they know it, and he probably has the names and addresses of everyone else involved. Not just in what he's done, but in all other aspects of the running of that party. He knows who's done what, where it is, and I bet you he's got a little folder somewhere with all the proof. And that is why they, the party, are paying for his defence and hoping to God he's found innocent so that they don't have to expose themselves to further investigation of many, many more suspected crimes. There are rumours that the things are far, far worse than just the Peter Murrell incident. Let's just say that. They haven't come out yet, and that they don't want them to come out at all. But I've been told something that is truly astonishing, which I'm not going to repeat until it's at least partially in the public domain. I'm not going to be the one that does that because, I care for the things I have. Anyway, in the March 2021 footage published by the Sunday Mail, Miss Sturgeon tells the NEC meeting the party has never been in a stronger financial position than it is right now. And that's a reflection of our strength and our membership. Now, don't forget, by 2021, they'd already lost about 40,000 members from the 150,000 high down at that point to about the 104,000. So the memberships were already down by almost a third. And she knew this. She urged the office holders to be very careful, all of us, about suggestions that there are problems with the party's finances because we depend on donors to donate. She added, there are no reasons for people to be concerned about the party's finances. And all of us need to be careful about not suggesting that there are. He said, and lastly, we've got to be careful as an NEC that we don't reap what we sow. If we have leaks in this body, as I said earlier on, it limits the ability for open, free and frank discussion. What she's saying is, the accounts are in deep doo-doo. Don't mention them. Don't mention the war. Don't mention the accounts. Never ask questions about the accounts. Keep deflecting. Don't let anyone question us. No one must ever look or examine the accounts because they are in a very bad way. We've done some very naughty things and we don't want to be found out. And we want to continue basically the confidence trick of getting businesses to give us lots of money because they think we're fiscally responsible when it's quite clear that they're not. I mean, if that is the case, then that is quite simply fraud. That is a crime in its own right. Despite all the other stuff that's going on, despite all the 100,000, 107,000 here and the 600,000 there, everything else can pale by comparison because that is an outright fraud. So prosecute them because it's undoubtedly her husband, I can't think of the name. Ross, is it? The treasurer? No, Douglas was the treasurer. Oswald for sure. All these people at the top, they all knew they should all be sitting in the dock for fraud. If they've got money by false pretenses, pretending that their accounts are fine and borrowing or getting donations on the strength of it, that's fraudulent. and that needs prosecuting. But on the top of that, of course, you've got all the other stuff that's going on. Scottish Labour's Deputy Leader Jackie Bailey said Miss Sturgeon has a big question to answer over her actions, and First Minister Humza Yousaf must consider suspending her party membership and that of her husband, former Chief Executive Peter Murrell, until the investigation has been concluded. Elsewhere, Ian Blackford, Tubby, the SNP's former Westminster leader, lifted his head from his plate long enough to say that the party absolutely categorically solvent amid concerns it is running out of money. Well, as long as he's got enough to nip down Greg's, he'll be happy. He said it is in robust health, which is more than him, financially, and can meet all its obligations and liabilities going forward. Again, I don't believe this man. I don't believe anyone. Until those books are examined openly, freely, and put out for public consideration, I don't believe a word any of them said. Colin Beattie, the party's treasurer, reportedly told the NEC over the weekend that the SNP was having difficulty in balancing the books due to the reduction in membership and donors, and I've covered that. And it is a potential by-election in Rutherglen and Hamilton West would put it under further pressure. It would put it under. Never mind the further pressure, it would put it under and it would be done. The NEC agreed to hold a governance and transparency review, but only a review. They're not actually promising to do anything. Following a meeting on Saturday with forensic auditors potentially due to be appointed, but not actually appointed yet. Yet again, it's all waffle. Nothing is being done. And of course, then just going into when I learned these things, says Humza Yousaf. So that's when he said that he only heard about it when he became leader. Now, Mr. Hoy called this answer a masterclass in obfuscation, adding, people inside and outside the SNP are sick and tired of senior figures' secrecy and lack of transparency. They'd be transparent if you took all the bullshit away. Scottish Liberal Democrat leader Alex Cole-Hamilton said, today's revelations fly in the face of openness and transparency and, quite frankly, how any credible political party should be operating in an established modern democracy. He says, we are now entering the third week of this terminal SNP soap opera. People's priorities around health, around education, around heating their homes are playing second fiddle to one of the biggest sideshows in Scottish political history. The antics inside the SNP High Command put some of the worst excesses of Tory sleaze in the shade. It's time for the SNP to come clean and put all this to bed so we can get on with combating the cost of living crisis, the NHS emergency and bridging a poverty gap that the Nationalists have left to stagnate during their time in office. I love the fact he calls it the High Command. I'm just thinking, did Sturgeon hold her meetings in the Eagle's Nest? Or did she have a bunker? Because either way, that's what it's likened to. Let's just hope that she ends her days much the same, sitting in a bunker somewhere. Thank you very much there. I shall come up and then we shall round off this video. I think a lot of people will be very, very satisfied if her membership was removed. She would still be sitting in Holyrood, but only as an independent, and therefore she would be sort of third tier SNP, not even SNP, sorry, MSP, third tier MSP, very rarely called upon, powerless, joyless. Well, she's never had joy anyway, has she? But she would be a nothing. She would be lower than a nothing. There would be other independents sitting there with more respect, with more people, people giving them more consideration because they are innocent. They are not crooked in any way, shape or form. I'm not saying that she is, but she may be perceived that way, which would undoubtedly affect her. So yeah, I think suspension of her membership is a start, but I just think she should be completely thrown out of the party. If Margaret Ferrier can be thrown out, then certainly Nicola Sturgeon most definitely can be thrown out. And it's not as though they've thrown out leaders before. As I say, Alex Salmond was chucked out. The only difference is he was innocent. Anyway, thank you very much for watching this video. If you like what you're seeing here on the channel, please hit the subscribe button, ring the bell for future output, leave a like, leave a comment, please share the video. And until next time, stay safe, stay well, make sure you don't get thrown out of your library, and goodbye.